You don't want this.
Powell.
Here.
Hoffman.
Present.
McGilvray.
Here.
Jackson is absent with notice. Nelson.
Here.
Cavell.
Here.
Gingell is absent with notice, as well as Kuhn. Lubes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next item is approval of the minutes from July 26, 2022. I have a motion by Commissioner McGilvery, support from Commissioner Nelson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. We move on to our agenda and approving the agenda of today. I have a motion by Commissioner Hoffman, support from Commissioner Nelson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We move to our first public comment. This public comment is for items on the agenda. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment regarding the agenda? All right, public comment is closed. We move on to communications. We have 3 items. The first item is from the Animal Shelter and Pet Adoption Center Communications Intake Disposition Report from June 2022. The second item is from Children's Village Grant Application Exception with the Michigan Department of Education for the 2022-23 Child Nutrition Programs. The last item is from the Prosecuting Attorney's Office Grant Application Exception with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for the fiscal year 2023 Victims' Rights Grant. I have a motion by Commissioner McGilvery, support from Commissioner Nelson. Any comments or questions on the communications? Prompt the vote or roll call? Either. Oh, roll call, please. Okay, prompt the vote.
Is it, communications is a voice vote?
Oh, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, communications is approved. We move to our regular agenda. The first item is from our animal pet shelter, establishing the 2023 to 2025 Oakland County Center fees. And we have Bob Gatt here regarding that item. Who do I have a motion from? Commissioner Nelson, support from Commissioner Hoffman. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. And I just want to backtrack on your communication. You should all be so proud of that animal shelter because every month we're an open admission shelter where we by law take every dog that comes into that shelter regardless of breed or demeanor or health or anything. And yet we, for the last almost 12 months in a row, have reached no-kill shelter numbers. And for an open admission shelter, that's pretty tough. You know, some of the shelters that tout their numbers, I mean, you know, and I love them, the Humane Society is our partner, but they can pick and choose what dogs they bring in. And I can assure you they wouldn't bring in a lot of the dogs that we take in. So our shelter is doing wonderful. So thank you for your support.
Thank you.
I'm here today because every 3 years we have the opportunity to review our costs for the services that we provide because in Oakland County we provide full service to over 40 communities. I think there's 44. But there's service to over 40 communities. I think there's 44. But there's 13 communities that instead of availing themselves of our complete service, they have their own animal control officers or shelters or both, and they only use us for certain services. Now, what we provide, we board stray animals, we provide a euthanasia service, disposal for owner relinquished animals, as well as specimen preparation and transport for those requiring it. And what I mean by that is rabies specimen. Predominantly, it's for bats, but it can also be for dogs and cats too, or other wild animals. So we did a study, and we came up with the actual costs for each of these services. And I don't know if you have that in your packet. I'd be happy to go over it if you are so interested. But in the end, we decided that some of the costs were too high to pass on to the public. We don't want the public to say, for instance, we have their stray dog at our shelter. We don't want to make the cost so high that they would just leave it there. So we proposed a very modest increase on all of the services, and that's what I'm here for today, and hope that we get your support.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Commissioner Powell?
Is there any, when local municipalities contact us in regards to any like wildlife type stuff, what are we to tell them? The reason why I'm asking is because Pontiac has had a few wildlife situations, and we just, I mean, is it the owners? You know, if you can give me some information, is it the owner's responsibility to get rid of that? Is they to call you, or like how does all that work?
For wildlife, unless the wildlife has bitten a human being,
Okay.
or is posing a threat to humans, say it was in a schoolyard or something. Any other circumstance, we're not equipped and nor trained to handle wildlife.
Okay.
We would turn them over to the DNR. That's their responsibility.
DNR, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Hoffman?
I see that the rates for 2022 and 2023 are the same, right? Is that what I'm looking at, to make sure I understand that? And then they start going up in 2024.
Correct. We tried to hold the costs that we put to the public as much as possible, sir.
All right, the rabies specimen preparation is $100, for live animals, dead animals, 100, and rabies specimen transportation is 100. Is that what 2022 is? 'Cause I
No,
didn't see
now,
that.
that's the only service that we did increase the fees, more than the other ones, percentage-wise. And I'll tell you why. It's a gruesome task, and my staff, our veterinary staff, they do it all too often. And we're trying to discourage these 13 CBTs that don't have us as their normal animal control provider. We would prefer that they take their rabies specimen to their local doctor or somewhere in their community rather than bring it to us. And so by making it $100, we're hoping that that prohibits some of them from coming. Not that they will do it, but to cut the head off of an animal and put it in a box and prepare it for shipping is not something that is fun.
So what's the price fee in 2022 for those 3 items?
I don't have that in front of me. It's like $20, $25.
Oh, so it's gone up like,
It's gone up, yeah. Those are the only
Okay.
2 services that we decided for the good of the staff. And I should also point out that these numbers are not high. That's why there's not even a budget amendment attached to this. At the most, out of a nearly $5 million budget, all of these services combined are a couple $1,000s.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner McGilvery?
I'm curious to know then if that's indeed the case, that you're trying to push it back toward the veterinarians to be able to do this or whatever. Will veterinarians do it?
Oh, yes. Yes, they'll do them.
And, okay, I just want to make sure that that service is still available.
It is available, and if a resident of one of these 13 communities bring a bat to us or another specimen, we won't charge the resident, we'll charge the community.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, prompt the vote, please.
Can I ask a question? Township Supervisor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Your comment?
Yeah,
If you
After you
come,
finish.
You
yes.
come to the microphone.
you have 60 ayes,
Anyone.
0 nays.
Great, motion carries, thank you. We have a question.
Okay, I'm Rick Hamill, Highland Township Supervisor, and you just, your last comment was that if a resident comes in, the resident would, you'd do it for free, and you'd pass it on to the township.
For the
Or the-
rabies specimen.
Yeah, well, how do we receive that bill? I've never seen one, so maybe you've never done it.
I'm sorry, what township? are you-
Highland Township?
Well, you get full service, so we don't charge Highland Township.
Okay,
This is only for the 13 that we provide interlocal agreements with.
because I put my John Henry on every single invoice, and I've never seen one, so thank you.
I thought he was gonna tell you there's no bats in Highland.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Our next item is also from the animal shelter. It's an interlocal agreement with the Oakland County municipalities for 2023 to 2025 services. I have a motion by Commissioner Nelson and support from Commissioner McGilvery. So thank you. And this is something you were just talking about.
This is just what we're talking about. We provide full service to over 43, 44 CBTs in the county. 13 different CBTs have decided that they would go with their own animal control services. For those 13, we have an interlocal government agreement that we renew every 3 years. In that agreement, it's all, canned language that our lawyers have all agreed to. Nothing is changing in there except the fees that we just talked about.
Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, prompt the vote, please.
Nelson?
Yes.
You have 60 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gatt.
Thank you, Commissioners. You're all welcome to come over our beautiful facility anytime.
Great.
Is Pontiac one of your all exclusive too, or no?
I'm sorry.
Pontiac is one that
Oh,
full service too.
full
right?
service,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
I was about to say, now we gotta change that ASAP.
Thank you.
Our last item for today is a resolution appropriating American Rescue Plan Act local fiscal recovery funds to create the Crisis Intervention Training Pilot Program in partnership with Oakland Community Health Network. I have a motion by Commissioner Hoffman, support from Commissioner Cavell. This resolution is presented by Commissioner Cavell, Gershenson, and Spiz. And Commissioner Cavell, since you are the one here, you are the one able to talk about it.
Cool. Glad that worked out. Hey, everybody. So this is, crisis intervention training is kind of like a 21st century policing model. So in collaboration with the Sheriff's Office and OCHN, what this is a request to expand the crisis intervention training program so that our local law enforcement and Sheriff's Office are able to not have to dip into their budgets for overtime so that they can accomplish the 40-hour training that is required to become CIT certified. And CIT certification is important because it's, if you talk to the sheriff or OCHN, the rise in mental health crises and the rise in incidents of police interaction related to mental health due to the pandemic has grown exponentially. And so this is to make sure that we have good interactions with the police and positive interactions with mental health when we're all coming together in often unfortunate circumstances, right? The cops get called, someone has a mental health issue. These police will now be trained and understand how to work with that person. And so, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Okay, so and our sheriff's department is aware?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We've been working
perfect.
with them on that. I've been working with Lieutenant Workman and Captain Todd Hill for like a year on this.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments? All right, roll call, please. Prompt the vote, please. Thank you.
Nelson?
Yes.
Picking up what you're laying down.
Yes.
You have 60 ayes, 0 nays.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Our last item is public comment. Is there anyone from the public wishing to comment? All right, public comment is closed, and I will declare the meeting of Public Health and Safety Committee adjourned at 12:06. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I think you set a record.